What's up, Knights? This is Wayne. Just got back from Las Vegas and the regional qualifier. Played 4 different drafts out there, and I'm going to take you through the first one. Definitely learned a lot at this event. I would say the fourth draft versus the first draft, the fourth draft is way better. And I'm going to take you through this draft and talk about the picks that I made, talk about what I would do differently, what colors are strong, what colors are weak, and what signals you should look for. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the draft. So first, pack one, pick one. I think this pick is really easy, and I think that I completely just overthought this. So coming off of our first league event, Mex did extremely well. And looking at this pack, I was trying not to lock into Draven, but at the same time, Draven's just really powerful. Getting card draw unlimited. It's the same thing as constructed. This card is really, really broken. Purple, I think, is the best color in draft, much like it is in constructed, although not for the same reasons. And red, also a fine color. I think blue is probably the weakest color. And we looked through this pack quite a bit, going back and forth. I really like Treasure Hunter. You'll see in some of these later drafts. Gem Jammer's good. Forecaster's good, but I think the color overall is weak. And Draven is probably the pick here. Also, Under Titan is extremely strong. There's quite a few ways to reveal off of him, and he also sets up for kind of the end game, get over the might on the board with your units. But you can see we take Forecaster here, and we go into our second pack. So, second pack, we see Frigid Touch, another blue card to follow up, Experimental Hexplate, Mixed Guys Mechs, Temptation, which I think is low-key one of the best cards in the set for drafting, can be a finisher. Can also help set up easy clears when you can calculate might and they're tapped out. But I took Skyfall here. One, I didn't have any in my collection. Probably not the best pick here, but I wanted to try to make this work. We got it early enough to see if we could, get other items to make this work. So for those of you who don't know, your Conquer effects become hold effects, and your hold effects become Conquer effects. So if we can grab a Trinity Force, we're setting up pretty good. Pack 3 here, we see a Jax. I think this is a pretty clear sign that nobody's drafting green, and I think this is something that I should have leaned in heavily to. Jax is a very good card, gives all your weapons quick draw, so any weapon we get essentially becomes a combat trick, can be played in the champ zone. Other notable things here, another Forecaster, Sea Monkey, Rune Runner, very good card, especially with our Skyfall if we can manage to get that Trinity Force later, although it is a rare, so I'm not banking on that. I will say my first event felt a little bit different. I've played big poker tournaments, but I've never been at one of these events, and I think there was some anticipation anxiety. I kept looking back at my cards, even though we had only had 2, but we do pick the Jacks. So going into our next pack, we see a Not So Fast, Disarming Rake, which I was a little low on. I do think this card is pretty good in the format, and you can always side it out. I don't like power cost and understated units, especially low. But here we kind of look down at quite a few different options and go with the Gem Jammer, kind of stay on that mech synergy that we have. It's a great card late. It's a good 2-drop early. I think Not So Fast was another good choice here, although there are less things that target your stuff and more things that buff other units on the other side in this format, so something like a Hard Bargain's a little bit better, but overall, happy with the pick here. Going into the next pick, I think we see a clear sign that I should not have pivoted off of Aphelios being here at pack 5. The card is just very, very good and limited. You can, buff a unit, you can channel a rune exhausted, you can ready 2 runes. It kind of gives you everything, and there's just a lot of equipment in this set. So we pick Aphelios here and a little bit of foreshadowing. I end up not playing any of this green. So let's move on to the next pick. Next pick here, fitting with the rest of this strategy here, we have Emperor's Divide. I've had a lot of success with this card, and a Doran Shield. I think given where exactly we just were in the last pick, Doran Shield is the easy pick here and kind of continue the trend on equipment. So we wait for the next pick to go around. We've set up where we really have good green cards. We have the Skyfall that we're somehow trying to play, but really not hooked to anything else. and I think the signals are definitely there. The green is open, and probably should have leaned in a little harder into those signals. So next pack, Armed Assailant, very good card. Accelerate, Weapon Master, kind of everything you want in a finisher in this set. We have the Disarming Rake. Guarding the Passage is really just a 6 for 6. When I hold, you may return a gear. Not something we're super interested in. But over here, end up going with Armed Assailant. I think that's fine. We have a Gem Jammer. Card is good. And we go to the next pack. So next pack, Frigid Touch, very good card here. It is in blue, which I don't love, but nothing really else jumps out to me. Royal Entourage can be cute with the right legends, but we don't have a legend right now, so easy pick. Next pack, we see Against the Odds, Doran's Ring. We don't have any purple. We do want equipment. Honest Broker. Excuse me. Forge the Fluff, Minefield. Really not looking to get Minefield. There are certain decks that like it. Brumble's one of the few that like to have things put in the graveyard if you have enough max synergy to use his ability. But overall here, I think this is an easy pick. Against the Odds, like to have one of these. This is a decent combat trick. People do end up stacking battlefields, especially late and limited. And onto the next pack. So here we do see the Rumble that we looked at earlier. I see that as a signal that Rumble is definitely open. Detonate's an interesting choice as you can draw some cards from it by killing your own gold, but take Rumble here. Next pack, pretty easy. We see the Forecaster here and snatch that up. We look back at our deck here, and really, even still, I think it's pretty clear we want to play red and we want to play green. Grab this next pack, just take a Paper Tree. We're not looking to play Renata. And then our last pick, Frostcoat Cub, if we do play blue. Not a bad card, 3 for 3 with a little bit of upside with Recycle a Blue, and you can give a unit -2. So not a bad way to finish out the pack when we may be playing blue. So after pack 1, I think it's very clear that we're looking to play green-red and really trying to draft a bunch of weapons going forward. We would love to hit a Trinity Force just to make the dream of the combo come true. And as we go into pack 2. So pack 2, what do you know? We look down at a lot of good cards. I kind of want everything in this pack. Feral Strength, extremely good. Wages of Pain if we're on blue. Temptation, great. But then we look down at the exact card we're looking for, Trinity Force. We also see a Stellacorn, probably the second best card in this pack, and Sivir, which if we weren't already on what we were on, I definitely think Sivir is a great build around. Got some nice synergies with Called Shot on the opponent's turn where you can still give her that +2, and then having ganking is just an accelerate out of the champ zone. So you can see I'm like, oh, Feral Strength, great first pick here, and then get the good news that Trinity Force is there. It's exactly what we were hoping for. We got the combo. And let's try to make this work. So orange is definitely the color we want to play, and red. And what's our third color? As of right now, I think it should be green. And this is where I think the draft starts to go a little bit out of where I want it to go. So next pack here, after the Trinity Force, we see another good card in Strike Down. We also see Fizz, Overzealous Fan. Fantastic cards. We have 0 purple cards. I don't see us going there. The Grimworm, a card that I was not super high on, but you conquer going first, and then you play this to the same battlefield. I mean, it's just really, really strong. Battering Ram doesn't have quite the same synergies as it does in Constructed. It's really just a 5 for 5, but Strike Down, given our equipment, I think is the clear and obvious choice here. Desert Call is also a decent 2-drop for being able to make 4 later. But I think right now it's just Strike Down. We were trying to build around equipment, get a removal piece with equipment, and sometimes that removing an equipment can actually be a positive, not just a negative in draft. So next pick, we look and we see a couple things that are interesting. We see the Plundering Poor, which is good, Doran Shield, Blood Rush, Serrated Dirk, and Lucian. So at this point, we have the Rumble, but I do think Lucian could be really good here. We stack a bunch of weapons, we go red, orange, green, and take Lucian. I think the safe pick here is probably just take another Doran Shield and continue, or the Blood Rush. Both are good cards. I think Doran Shield has obviously the longer value, and Blood Rush has the blow up potential. I end up taking Lucian here, and I'm thinking about, you know, red, orange, green, and where we go with this draft. Next pack, we see another Armed Assailant. We see Yordle Explorer, not very high on this card. We're looking to decide between, you know, blue and green here, and end up taking our second Armed Assailant. I think we could argue for 2-drop here over Armed Assailant, given that we were past some, but I think the pick's fine in general. Pack 2, pick 5. Excuse me. We see another Against the Odds, and really great cards not in our colors. Sand Shifter, Temptation again. Dauntless Vanguard, I haven't played very much in this set. I know some other people are high on it, but 4 Might to play to a battlefield just isn't great, but at the same time, it is ways where you can kind of steal points and get back on tempo. I do want to play a little bit more around with this card. Dauntless Vanguard, and I think maybe it's the pick. I don't really want to Against the Odds. I think it's a great one of, but I end up taking Against the Odds. But I think this pick's just incorrect. I think we should have taken the Dauntless Vanguard or even the Disarming Rake. I think are better picks than what I picked here. On to the next pack. So Angle Shot draws a card. We have the Dauntless Vanguard again. Angle Shot can do some cute little tricks. And Thwonk. Given that we're green, we have a Trinity Force, we might want to hold. I think Thwonk was probably the right pick here. Again, back-to-back picks in a row where, you know, looking back, I don't think I made the right pick. Angle Shot is fine. I just think staying green, Thwonk is just better and should have been the pick here. Again, next pack, we see our Pharaoh Strength this late. Nobody's playing green. You know, we should be picking this card. World Atlas, also a good card if we do want to go blue, but I really think, you know, we should have went with the Feral Strength here. Ended up taking the Gem Jammer and stayed on the mech synergies. Next pack, really easy pack. If we are playing mechs, we should be taking Bubblebot here. I don't think there's any real reason to take Sunken Temple over Bubblebot here. It doesn't make any sense. It leaves blue open. So, again, just another pick I'm not very happy with. Yeah, so we went with Sunken Temple here. So, looking back at our draft, we're obviously trying to figure out very quickly where I'm going with this. And in this next pack, we see Serrated Dirk, Minotaur Reckoner, and for yet another pack, I believe we picked the wrong thing. I really think here, Minotaur Reckoner, units can't move to base. This can definitely lock up your 2-drops of your opponent. It just makes it so you can kind of eat them. I think this card is very good. I think there's definitely some niche play in Constructed as well. And the fact that we decided to go Dirk here over Minotaur, just, again, not a great pick. I think the nerves were definitely there in the first game, and it shows. So this is why we record our videos, why we go back and look at what we drafted, and why we really see what's working for us. So, oh, there's also Ezreal in this pack, so apparently something a little off on the UI. So we go into our next pick: Void Drone, Angle Shot, Grimworm, and Chemtech Cast. Again, I think this could have been the Grimworm. I think it's a much better pick than going the second Angle Shot. Next pack, not much for us here. This is an easy hex play. If we do end up in blue, it makes the guy a mech. It's a gear, all the things. So I think this one was fine in the hex plate, even though we're not trying to play blue. Next pack, we are down to 2. We get a Frostcoat Club and Legion Quartermaster. So I think Frostcoat's fine here. Legion Quartermaster, you have to have a friendly gear to return to its owner's hand. It could have some uses, but went with the Frostcoat here. And we grab a Minefield to kind of finish out the pack and go to pack 3. Not looking to play Minefield. So pack 3, pick 1. We look down at quite a few options. We see Gearhead, Blood Rush, Doran's Blade, Marching Orders, Rumble. I think there's quite a few picks we could go here. I think Blood Rush is fine. We do have quite a bit of mechs, which makes Rumble a very good pick here. Gives all of our mechs Assault 1. We can also start to recycle and grab those mechs back from our graveyard. So went and took Rumble here. I think you could make a couple arguments for Marching Orders. I haven't played it much. The battlefield language around Marching Orders just makes it a way worse effect than Challenge. Blood Rush, always good here. Sea Monkey's a decent 2-drop. And if this were pack 1, pick 1, I'd probably still be on Rumble and try to build a deck around Rumble. So we passed our pack, and I think this is another example of, I was reading some signals here. Nobody was playing mechs, but I think Breakneck Mech is so good that we don't want to risk it not getting back to us. So other options obviously are Fey Dragon, not really high on Royal Entourage. We have a legend that doesn't really matter to tap, so it is a 3 for 4, but it has a power. Drag Under, obviously the best card in the pack, but we're not in yellow. So I go on ahead and I pick the Fey Dragon here, and really my thought process was I'm going to get the mech, but I think it's just too greedy. We should have taken the mech here to guarantee that we got it. All right, next pack. Couple good options. Apprentice Smith, obviously in green, is a decent 2-drop that moves things around. Another Angle Shot, we already have 2. I don't think we need that. Disarming Rake could give us some of that gear hate. But another Strike Down with the equipment we have in our deck. I think this is an easy pick and one I'm actually happy with. And we take the Strike Down here. So our deck is still shaping up pretty well. And honestly, even with where we're at, I think you could play green or blue, and our green's probably a little better. Going to the next pack, we see another Sea Monkey, a Dirk, an Armed Assailant, Raven Bloom, and a World Atlas. Also a Feral Strength. This pack I feel like is just a botch. I look back at my green and I see that there's only 4, and I think I was going between Feral Strength and something else. And my blue was quite strong, and if I'm making the decision to play blue over it, I do think World Atlas is the play. With that said, I think regardless of whether I'm going green or blue, I think green is the right choice here still. Take the Feral Strength. But I don't think it's the Armed Assailant. I don't know if I forgot that we already had 2. It's too much. I think even Dirk would be better at this point. But ended up taking an Armed Assailant, number 3, and only played 2 in my deck, so clearly not the right play. Next pack here, we don't have too much in our colors. We see Bushwhack, we see Frostcoat Cub, Card Sharp. There's Lonely Poro as well. I think, again, this is a pick where I take Card Sharp. Definitely a good card, but don't think I'm supposed to be in blue. I think it's still probably better to go green, and we go on to the next pack. So here we see Wages of Pain. Good card. Definitely the best card in the pack. I think Disarming Rake, I think Orange Forge, all of these are other options, but I think this is where I kind of determine, hey, I might just play blue, and I take the Wages of Pain. Not upset even if we continue to play green and we just throw this pack away, but next pack we see that really no one is making mechs at this table work. Second Rumble, I think this is an easy choice going forward, and over the Gem Jammer and the Drake Hound and the Lonely Poro. Pack 3, pick 8. We see another Forecaster. Nothing really in the other colors, so not much we're giving up. Hextech Anomaly, not a card we're that interested in. Temptation is the best card in the pack, but we're not in purple. So I think this is easy Forecasters here. And go on to the next pick. Excuse me. So I think here on the pack 3, pick 9, looking down at Emperor's Divide, Sea Monkey. Again, I've had a lot of success with Emperor's Divide. I think, especially when playing purple with things like Treasure Hunters or green with Stellacorn, this card is just fantastic. It protects you. It gives you a move. Here, I think the choice is between Sea Monkey and Gearhead. And again, I think Gearhead probably a little better. We have a lot of gear, but probably should have went Sea Monkey and still went green rather than blue. So I think about it a little bit and end up taking the Gearhead. No, we have some other good 2-drops, but I think we could have taken the Monkey and tried to stay in orange. We do get lucky. Easy pick. Get our Breakneck Mech back here. I would like to say calculated, but I think it's just too much risk there. Next pack, we just take Seed of Power to get a unit, or sorry, a battlefield over the Desert's Call for 2. And then we go and grab Ravenbloom Conservatory. I do like this battlefield a lot, especially if you have some spells, as it gets you a little bit of card advantage in limited, which is helpful. It can backfire a little bit, as obviously your opponent may run more spells than you. And then last we have Hall of Legends, so not really going to play this. Neither legend that we play taps, and kind of go from there. With all that said, I still think the draft is okay despite all the mistakes we made, and just shows how good this draft could have been had I not made all those mistakes. But if there were quite a few things I would have done a little bit differently, and I think I learned from it. You'll see from the drafts later on in the weekend that there were definitely things I did learn from, and made a little bit of better choices later. So with that said, my final draft ended up looking something like this. So I'll try to put this on the screen, edit this in post, but ended up not playing the green, which I think is a huge mistake. Ended up going with the Skyfall combo here. Ended up grabbing 2 Rumbles. I played Rumble and Rumble in the Champ Zone, but I think not playing Rumble, Mechanized Menace, we don't have a ton of great mechs. You know, we do have the 2 Rumbles, the Forecasters and the Gem Jammers, but I think that I still could have played Lucian. Obviously getting Breakneck Mech light, it can enter ready. It's a 7 mana, but we did have 2 Armed Assailants, which also can kind of fit the same role. I also think Fade Dragon was a little bit more of a win more card in this deck. I'm not super wide, where, you know, making Fade Dragon hit multiple things makes it good. So again, I think not having Jax, Aphelios, we could have had a couple Feral Strengths. I think that would have made the deck that much better. Ended up going 2-1 with this deck. The game I lost, the first game, you know, my opponent, I was drawing no units in game 2. Definitely a little bummed out, and completely missed his Unsung Hero going in and being able to hit it with Wages of Pain. Cost me 2 points and really cost me the game. Would have liked to thought I could have still 3-0'd with this, but you know, kind of a lot of mistakes, a lot of nerves in the first one. But overall, I think this was exactly what I wanted to do when I was there, and learned a lot from it. Sometimes when we win early and just go 3-0 or something, we may not take away all the lessons learned. So very excited. You know, talked a lot to Perry, who was there with me drafting all these events. And, you know, he kind of led me on to, you know, Temptation being the card that it is. And you'll see that I drafted quite a bit later. But I think this draft really showed me that, one, I got too hyper-focused on the mechs and the synergies, because it did do well at our draft. But overall, I think that there's just was a much better lane in green open. And we were cutting green pretty hard. So it was very likely that we got green in the second pack, which we did. So these are some things that I learned. So let me know in the comments, you know, what you would have done with this draft, what picks you would have made differently, and follow me for more draft coverage. Like and subscribe, guys.